We're looking ahead to the Portsmouth game, and Portsmouth have bad memories of Oxford. Back to that playoff semi-final where they knocked them out on penalties. This lot, however, have got fond memories of that particular game. It's the first time in the Championship this season that two promoted sides have met as Oxford travel to Fratton Park. It's not a ground they've done very well on. To review that and to talk about what went so well against Burnley, we've got all our yellows back. Thank you very much for watching. Do drop us a subscribe. We'll roll the titles and let's chat Portsmouth. Welcome back, Blake, Connor, Sam, Luke, and welcome for the first time making his debut here, Chris. How are we, gentlemen? All good?
All good.
All good.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Let's jump straight into it. We're going to talk about Burnley. We're also going to get their September Player of the Month as well, which is going to be quite hard, I think, to do, given that the whole team could be given it as well. We're also going to bring in Jake, who is our Pompey fan. Good evening to you, Jake. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry to remind you of that penalty shootout back a couple of years ago. Do you have fond memories of that one?
Not fond memories. I've got avid memories of it, but yeah, definitely not fond.
Okay, we'll come back to you in a second and get your views. But you're due an away win, aren't we, Yellows? I'm presuming, of course, we're recording this well before the Luton Town game, so you may have got it there. But Sam, this is your first real chance of 3 points away from home, isn't it?
I think to put it like that is a bit harsh. You know, we had chances to win both the Blackburn and the Bristol game. We just, didn't have that clinical finishing. They are definitely the two, I'd say, slightly easier games. But even then, Luton been in the Premier League, Portsmouth a side that we were competing with last season, but they blew us away in terms of the league position, the points.
Luke, what are your memories of your battles with Portsmouth while you were both in League One? They kind of had your number a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, I have quite a funny relationship with Portsmouth where my granddad is a big Pompey fan, so it's always one for bragging rights. And I'd say in recent years he's had a bit more than I have, but it turns out in some of the bigger ones I've had some sweet times to sort of brag with him. So I've always enjoyed going to Fratton Park. It's one of the best atmospheres, especially in League One, and it's still one of the best atmospheres now in the Championship. One of the best away days I've ever done, and I do try to do it as much as possible. So I'm looking forward to another good battle, really.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, how do you view Oxford as a team? From a neutral point of view, do you look at them as kind of like brothers in arms a little bit? Come on, we've been there, we've fought our way out of the division. Almost like we'll look after each other kind of thing in a tough league.
Well, we've played them quite a lot over the last few seasons. I'm not sure we see them as brothers in arms, but they've had a great start to the season, and I think they recruited really well in the summer. So they're a different beast, I think, now than what they were last season.
Do you think they recruited better than you did?
Yeah, I think we've been slightly unlucky with injuries. So even the players we brought in have been injured, whereas I think the lads they brought in have all performed and all stayed fit. So yeah, they probably did.
Okay. Can I ask you honestly, Jake? And I know you've got 5 eyes on you at the moment, but when the fixture list came out and you saw that you had Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, all these huge teams, did you get down to the list and say, Oxford at home, that's when our season starts?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our first 7 games, I said, if we've got 2-3 points, I'd be happy. And then you look at that game, Oxford at home, no disrespect, but that for us is a game that we should be looking at to get 3 points from, and that's when we kickstart our season, definitely.
Yeah, because after Tuesday night, you will have played all the 3 relegated sides from the Premier League last season, plus Leeds, plus the big boys of the division. Blake, in terms of this game then on Saturday away from home, what structures need to change or players need to be brought in to make sure that it's you walking away with 3 points for the first time in many, many years?
A lot will depend, I guess, as well on Tuesday what the team is, but I think try and keep it similar to Saturday's game, really. We played very well defensively, so I can't see too many changes from Saturday's game coming in, really.
Where's your weakness at though, Connor? Where do you worry at away from home? Where have your deficiencies been?
At the moment, I'd probably worry in the sixth position. I don't have much. Although he had a wonderful first game, I don't think Volks has been the same since he made that mistake at Coventry. And I'm not sure if Josh McEachran will come in tomorrow. If he comes in tomorrow and he looks like that he gets through the game, then I'll be a bit more happy. But around that sixth position at the moment is where I'm a bit apprehensive.
All right, Jake, tell them what they're wanting to know then. If you're Des, is he gone? Gonna ask him how
He
how
doesn't want to answer.
how do you beat Portsmouth? But I think the answer to that is just turn up at the moment. All right then. We've also got a quiz for you at home this week as well. We're looking for 3 players that have played for Portsmouth and for Oxford United, JM, PM and RW. We'll ask these lads in a second to see if they can work it out. We've just lost you for a second, Jake. You're back. We're about to ask you how do Oxford beat Portsmouth this weekend? What do they need to do? What's your weakness?
Up front at the moment, we haven't got any really fit strikers, so hearing Blake say that the defence is quite strong is a bit of a worry for us. Could be another 0-0. But yeah, I think that's where our weakness is in the 9 or 10 position.
Okay, all right. Let's get some score predictions then. Chris, you're up first, please. Portsmouth against Oxford.
I think we're finally due a good result at Fratton Park, so I would just say 2-1. In truth, I do think there's a competitive side out of Pompey, but given the acquisitions we've made over the summer, it makes a bit of sense that there could be a good result for us finally there.
Okay. Jake, Portsmouth have only lost once in the last 8 to Oxford. They haven't won there since 2016. It's massive for you. What's the score going to be?
I'll say we're going to sneak a 1-0. 1-0 to Pompey.
Okay, all right. Definitely going to be under 2.5 goals in this one, by the sounds of it, in terms of betting odds. All right. Thank you very much, Jake, for joining us. I really appreciate that one. Good. We are recording this, of course, before the Luton Town game, but we do want to review all games on this channel, so do bear with us. We are going to go back in time to the weekend and have a look at the takes from the Burnley game. Thank you, Jake, and here's Rate My Take for the rest of you. John Aubrey says, we were defensively superb today against a very good side. Bar the one save, Cumming didn't have that much to do. Brown in particular was excellent and more than deserved point. Well played, lads. UFTO. Just talk to me about Brown's performance, Chris. What did you make of how he did in particular?
Solid. He came in, did a shift. He's more defensively minded than Greg Lee. He was sort of there to sort of try and keep Koleosho quiet. I mean, as good as Koleosho is, he still managed to find a way of implementing himself on the game. But he tucked inside to support Ben Nelson a bit more, as did Kyoso on the right back. So it was a really solid game for him, and it was a deserving man of the match performance.
Yeah, he certainly had lots of players in his pocket, didn't he? Luke, do you think you rode your luck a little bit when we spoke to Burnley yesterday? They were saying, look, they had an opportunity for at least one tap in. Was it just one of those that everything went in your way and it didn't go for them?
There's a little bit of that. I think when you concede as much of the ball as we decided to, and there was definitely a game plan and we managed to execute it pretty well. It couldn't have gone much better. But like you said, there's always going to be a few shaky moments in the game. But I like to think we've proven now it's not a chance of luck with us. We are solid and we can hold these top teams out, and that's what's making us a lot more competitive than most people thought.
Okay. Sam, Gen Z Politics says, every game at home we remain undefeated is one step closer to survival. We'll win a few, pick a few points up away, but those draws at home against the big teams are the most important. We need to know where we stand, and throwing everything at Burnley wouldn't have been smart. Do you agree with that? That going gung-ho and trying to sneak the win would have been the wrong thing to do?
I think it wouldn't have hurt if we'd been a little bit more attacking. I understand Luke's point about the approach, but it was a game of poor quality from both ourselves and Burnley. Neither side, really offered anything. Of course, there was one kind of gilt edge shot from Burnley. They didn't slot away. We had one or two that were kind of a little bit close, but these are vital points towards our survival. Obviously Burnley, in my view, as we spoke last week, Mark, I think they're the best team in the league. And to get a point at home against a side like that is a very, very positive thing for the rest of the campaign. It's whether we can do that against the Leeds, against the Sheffield United, and the rest of the other proper big clubs in this division.
Okay. When we're back here next week, you'll have played two other big clubs, Luton and Portsmouth. Blake, how many points will we be sitting on when we return next week to review both of them?
I'd be happy with 2 draws, probably.
Okay.
I think we could maybe nick 1, but if you said at the start of the week 3 points from these 3 games, I would have been more than happy.
Okay. Would you take a win and a loss now?
Yeah, probably same in the end, innit?
It's certainly been more than the 2 draws anyway. All right then. In terms of returning players, it was good to see Edwards and Dale back out there. Was a comment I saw so many times on social media. Connor, just talk to me about what they give you that you hadn't had before.
They, at the time that they came on the game, they offered a lot more pace and directness down the right-hand side, down both flanks, especially with the way that Desmond likes to play, getting the ball out quickly out wide and taking off Dembele, who absolutely worked his socks off. And was it Gudrun that came off for him? I can't quite remember, my memory goes. But either way, it was injecting pace down both flanks, which was desperately needed at that time. And Edwards, by the way, he's come back and I think he looks better than he did in League One.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And the final word just on Ben Nelson, who, of course, I think made his debut, I think, at the weekend. This is an open question. How did he do?
Fantastic. This is a young lad coming from Leicester, can play on both sides of the back of the middle too. He looked like a perfect fit alongside Elliot Moore, and he's got a bit of pace about him. He's got the height. Just very smart signing, I think, from the Ed Waldron and Des Buckingham.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he still needs to build that sort of partnership with Moore, and then the more games he plays with Moore, the better he's just going to get. He did the basics really well, essentially, at centre-back.
Okay. It's defensive midfielders next for us. We've done the whole of the back line and goalkeepers. So now transfermarket.com doesn't say you've got very many. I'm sure there's actually more than this that you can utilise it in that position. So a quick question to all of you. When Des wants to play 2 holding midfielders, especially you're going to need them, I think, against Luton perhaps this week. Which combination, either on that screen or others, do you prefer to see on the pitch? Blake, we'll start with you, if that's okay.
Honestly, if we're playing 2, I guess Des would go with Folks and McEachran, because Brannigan is more a forward, like a bit of a number 8 really, and he said Idris is going to be a number 10. So if he's going to play 2, I guess it would have to be those 2 by default.
Okay, Connor.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I think I'll have to agree. I think it would be Volks and McEachran, especially as Brannigan has been playing higher up the pitch generally this season.
Okay, Chris.
I think it depends on what kind of opposition you're sort of playing. But if I'm sort of got a gun to my head, I'd probably say Volks and McEachran and give Brannigan a bit more freedom to roam around and do what he wants to do.
Okay. Luke.
Yeah, I think if we were going to go for the 2 and a pivot, it would be those 2. But I think if we do like to sort of solidify it up, we will play with the single 6, and maybe instead of having maybe Rodriguez and someone like Brannigan in the 8s, you would put El Mazouni in there, who can do a little bit of both. He's a bit more physical. You sort of make the 2 ahead of the single one a little bit more robust that way. I think would be the more likely approach we'd take.
And Sam, finish this off for us.
I'd say, like Chris said, I think it entirely depends on the opposition we play. If you watch kind of the comparison, McEachran, though he's, I think, much better on the ball than Will Volks, he is a bit more lightweight. I think it would probably end up being a Volks-Brannigan double pivot and allowing either Rodriguez or Gudrun to play as a 10. That being said, Idris El Mazouni, who I thought was going to be coming as a 6, has been playing a lot further forward and has been shining in that role.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. We'll talk about the attacking side of your midfield next week. Before we go, we've got to go back to our quiz question. Does anybody know any of players? I mean, this is before. Some of these are well before some of you were born. So no problems at all if we don't. But any ideas?
I'd assume JM is Josh Murphy.
Yeah, it must be.
RW Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams,
Oh,
yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
yes,
Yes,
He,
I said 2 spells with Portsmouth, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
No, 2 spells with Oxford, and then
Yeah.
he went to Portsmouth, and then back to Oxford, and then.
Oh,
played-
right,
Yeah,
and then
that's right, yeah.
back to Australia. JM,
Josh Murphy.
Is that Murphy?
we had Jamie Mackey, but we'll check on Josh
Oh,
Murphy.
yeah.
Yeah, Josh Murphy
Okay,
works as well.
Jay Mackey's a good one.
Yeah, it does. I think it does work as well. Yeah, and PM, I mean, it is going back.
Is
I don't
it-
think any of you alive in
Paul Moody?
Is it
'94.
Moody?
Paul Moody,
Moody.
well done. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, plays for
It's a
Oxford
wrap.
between 94 and 97. I won't ask how old all of you were in 1994. All right, last one for you all then, and I want your comments, please, below as well. We're still watching. Thank you very much. Do subscribe. We love making this content for you. September Player of the Month. We want a single name, no sitting on the fence, and a reason. You can choose the same player, but ultimately we want a bit of breadth if we can. Connor, I'll throw to you first.
For me, it's going to be Siriki Dembele. For me, anyway, I thought that he's come on and I think he's replaced what we lost in Josh Murphy. I thought he played excellently against Bristol City, although he could have done slightly more, I think, on tracking back on the defensive side against Burnley. I think that he has been I still maintain that he's been a steal at the price that we paid for him.
Well, good shout. Okay, September Player of the Month, Sam.
Oh, that's really tricky. Siriki Dembele is a fantastic choice. I'm going to go with Idris El Mizouni, another absolute steal. He's just the way he plays with the ball, the defensive work, the attacking side of his game. He's just, the modern complete midfielder in my view.
Okay, Luke, you're up next.
I had Dembele and then I had El Mizouni, so I'm going to go someone else. And I'm actually going to go. He didn't play on Saturday, but I'm going to go just Greg Lee, just for the fact of when Bennett got injured. I think we was all a little bit worried about how he was going to step up. So although he's maybe not Player of the Month for September, I think he definitely stepped up when we needed him and did a lot better than we thought he would do.
Okay, Blake.
I was going to say El Mizouni or Dembele as well. If you're going for another one, maybe Peter Chiozzo. He started a bit shaky, but he's got better and better as the games have gone on.
Okay, all right. You can choose the same one. I'm not banning you. And Chris, you get the final shout on this.
I'm glad no one said my one. I'll go for Ruben Rodriguez. His goal involvement at against Stoke, the away goal against Bristol City, which is kind of what moments are. Football's all about moments, and that kind of moment was amazing. And also the aspects in terms of what he does off the ball in terms of pressing and the restriction play of the opposition doesn't get enough credit, and when we do have the ball, he will make those secondary runs into the box, which is really crucial for getting those one-on-one chances with keeper or defender, really. So I've got to say him.
Fantastic. I tell you what, there's 5 great shouts there, and I think you could probably add another 3 players on as well, given how we've done. Do you disagree or agree? Put your comments below, and we'd love to hear them. Next week, of course, we're going to review the Luton game, and of course review your trip to Pompey, where hopefully, as Blake says, we'll be looking at some more points on the board for Oxford and maybe your first away win. Let's see. Join us next week. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the double header. Thanks for joining us. Cheers, everyone.